Finovate showcases cutting-edge banking and financial technology through a global conference series featuring short-form demos and thought leadership. Now, the conversation continues on the Finovate podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Finovate podcast. This is Greg Palmer. We're returning now from Finovate Europe and beginning our conversations with our Finovate Europe Best of Show winners. If you haven't seen any of the videos from that event, you can find them now. They're available at finovate.com/videos. And joining me today, first out of the gate, we have Best of Show winner Márk Hetenyi, CEO and founder of Ready. Márk, take a little bit of time and introduce yourself to our audience, if you would.
Hi, Greg. Very happy to be here, and obviously happy that we have a Best of Show award on our shelf because it makes us very happy. So my name is Márk. I'm the CEO of a company named Ready, which is actually developing a platform called Ablements, which is an iPaaS platform for banks and financial institutions, and actually for institutions beyond that. So we aim to solve the integration challenge of banks and other institutions.
Yeah, it's a really cool platform. And so again, I would recommend anybody take a look at the video, see the full 7-minute demo that Márk and his team did up there on the stage. For people who haven't seen the demo yet, can you give a little bit more background on Ready and what the Ablements platform is all about?
For sure. So Ablements actually takes the IT architecture of a bank or of any financial institution. It actually ingests a lot of the documentation and API descriptors, customization codes, user manuals, training materials, whatever of the system. And it creates a really deep imprint of the actual services and service parameters that are used within an IT architecture. We do this not as a self-serving kind of imprint, but we use this actually to construct flows and to help the banks and financial institutions to construct their flows. Ablements is actually a middleware platform in itself. So once the flows are constructed, you can actually take them to deployment. But it is actually a cool set of AI and traditional technologies meshed together to take one from kind of a disparate number of systems and all sorts of documentation all over the place to a very compliant set of flows, which you can roll out sort of like a factory into production.
Yeah. And again, it's a really powerful tool. I'm curious about the types of conversations that you had once you got off the stage. Obviously, part of the fun of Finovate is being up there presenting to the audience. The other part is kind of going back to your booth and seeing what you shake out. Can you talk to me about some of the conversations that you had and what the response seemed to be from our banker-heavy audience?
For sure. Actually, the part of the excitement for us, it was the initial Finovate that we have been to, and obviously excited to be on stage. But the real exciting part came afterwards with having the number of conversations and the activity around the booth. One of the most interesting things, to be honest, Greg, that happened is a lot of the participants came in and said, AI has been here for a little while now, and it's obviously not a long time, but it has been coming in with a big bang. And everybody was saying that AI is going to help solve the integration challenge. It's going to really take a big bite out of how complex integrations are. This is a problem that has been plaguing banks and financial institutions for a while. They've had a lot of systems, a spaghetti of systems, legacy systems and whatnot, and to move as fast as the fintechs and whatnot, it's a challenge for them. So a lot of the participants came up and said, we have been waiting for AI to break through and solve the integration challenge, but it hasn't actually materialized. There's not a lot of companies out there doing that. So they were quite excited to see our platform, even though our platform is not, a very simple one agent or two agents doing a simple task very perfectly. There is a lot of complexity in terms of solving the integration challenge. There was a lot of excitement and not just at the Finovate conference, but afterwards as well. And we're still riding that wave.
Yeah, that's excellent. Certainly the hope is that you'll have some conversations that'll keep you going for a while. Do you feel like most of the audience really understood what you were getting at, what the technology does? I know it's a lot to try and show. Do you feel like the audience was able to follow that journey with you?
Yes, but one of the learning experiences there was, that the integration challenge, as I said, it has been around for such a while. It's such a big problem that, the bankers and the people that we talked to in the financial institutions, they were actually open to having that conversation for longer, because obviously if you've been feeling a pain for a long time, it's okay not to just not solve it with just a Band-Aid, but you're actually willing to go to the doctor and see what the doctor prescribes. So there's a longer longer conversations we've had at Finovate at the booth as well, but then subsequent to that through the demos as well, where we actually take the customers through the whole process of, what do we do to the documentation? How do we actually ingest it? We create the vector databases, RAG tools, whatever it is that the AI needs to get a real deep understanding of the systems, then use that to document the services and service parameters of the IT architecture, and then turn that back around so that the AI agents can pinpoint at the exact services and service parameters that they need to work with and integrate to create the deployable flows. So at the booth, obviously, it's more of a challenge to have, a 50 or 60 or 70-minute conversation on this. But the wave that we have been riding afterwards as well is, let's start the conversation there. Let's keep it going. And we've been able to get a lot of interest on the platform, even though, as I say, it's not an easy thing to digest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is one where, we were talking a little bit before we actually push record here about some of the challenges that bankers have when it comes to kind of believing in artificial intelligence, because they've been told over and over again, this is a new AI platform. It's going to change the way that you do X, Y, and Z. And I think there's still some kind of hesitancy, because some of them have been burned in the past and really kind of bought in. What was the response that you were getting in terms of, does the audience believe in your AI? Do they feel like, this is something that now makes sense to them why you would engage with AI? Or did you get a sense that there's still a little bit of hesitation there on the part of some of these bankers to engage with artificial intelligence as a concept?
Actually, one of my colleagues was actually sitting next to some people who were listening to our demo, and they were saying, "Hey, if our platform does even half of what we say it does, it's incredible." And that's actually good feedback, and that goes a little bit to your question as well. How did the participants respond to the AI? I think, to be honest, we've seen an AI. Our participants, the banks, the financial institutions, have seen demonstrations of AI doing amazing things out there. So there was a little bit of, oh my God, does our platform really accomplish this? Because then it is really super exciting, and so they were open to receive that information, to be honest. And then subsequent through the demos and subsequently through the follow-on conversations, we have been able to demonstrate to them that all the steps of how we actually ingest, how do we actually use the AI tools, the RAG tools, and the agentic tools to accomplish the integration task and the deep understanding of the systems. But there was, I can admit that it wasn't. There has been sort of a reception to say, "Oh my God, this is really amazing," but does it actually deliver? And we've been able to actually prove that out since then. Again, I think AI has opened up. At first, it was very cool technology, but the enterprise use cases were maybe a little bit far away because of the hallucinations and whatnot. But we've been getting better and better using AI to deliver enterprise use cases. So the participants now are actually a lot more in tune, a lot more receptive to that.
I want to switch gears a little bit because I realize we've been talking a lot about the AI and the reception to it, but we haven't really talked too much about where the AI is actually deployed with enablements. Can you talk a little bit about where exactly artificial intelligence is underpinning the process? And also on the flip side, where do you still need actual human beings to come in and run certain processes? Because I think getting some more clarity on exactly where that line is would be really helpful.
Yeah, we are using the most current AI technologies, and there's actually within the generative AI space, there's, let's say, two pockets of technology which are really, really becoming popular and gaining enterprise traction. One of those is obviously RAG technologies, vector, hybrid, and graph technologies, and going into ontologies as well. And the other one is the agentic technologies. We use the RAG technologies to get a real in-depth understanding of each IT system in the IT system architecture. And then when we turn that around to document the services and service parameters in depth. And then we have the agents pick those pieces up and actually help the users tie everything together into a flow, using pre-made flows as well, but also allowing the user to construct their own flows, and then translating those flows into the IT architecture into something that is deployable on our middleware architecture. So we use the most current AI technologies to accomplish that. I think AI in itself is reducing the time from idea to deployment. So this is an amazing thing for it. For guys like me over 50, it's actually opening up whole new chapters to start new projects and new lives once again, because the thought process from the idea to the deployment is now being drastically reduced. So where does the human come in on our platform, but also vis-a-vis in general, vis-a-vis when we're speaking of AI? The human comes in because the human comes in with the idea, and obviously throughout our platform and throughout the deployment, they're there to check that the actual idea is not being, hallucinated away or put into another dimension. So they track the fact that their idea is translating from the concept to the actual deployment, and the platform allows it to do that. It just takes all the brunt work away that you would have had to do to accomplish the idea to deployment otherwise. So that's the actual. It doesn't take away the human input. It just takes away the, let's say, the brunt work or the sweat and toil and labor that has to be done in the past when you had to have an integration and a flow deployment.
Yeah, and I think this is really the perfect place to deploy AI, right? Because there are these processes that are part of that are really time-consuming, they're labor-intensive, but ultimately they're fairly straightforward once a robot kind of learns the metrics that it can go out and follow. And this can really save a ton of time for the humans who are actually involved in the decision-making process as well. So, thinking about, obviously, the conversations that you had, where the artificial intelligence industry is, especially when it relates to that financial industry, what advice do you have for bankers when it comes to how they should be thinking about AI, how they should be engaging with AI? Again, we know that there's so much noise in the space. It's really difficult for people who aren't tech experts to understand what their priorities should be, where it has the potential for the biggest impact. How could you, what advice do you have that could help out this community as they try and figure out what their next step should be?
It's interesting. I think as the AI revolution came about, the big AI wave came in. The first reaction was obviously amazement, and then there was a little bit of too much hallucination. The ability to employ this technology in an enterprise space may be, let's say, limited or far off. Now I think 2025 brings us to a space where we see that the enterprise application of RAG technologies, agentic technologies is here, and it's amazingly fast and it's amazingly vast. So you can actually maybe overstep your own bounds, and you can get really too deeply into it and press too fast. I think what we have to remember is focus on the use case and focus on the fact that banks and financial institutions, having been around for a while, they're enterprises. So you want that enterprise use case to be the one that you deliver and that delivers value to the organization. In the vast sea of now agents being able to do everything for you, from back office to front office to mid office to whatever, I think you have to find those enterprise use cases which deliver the value, reduce your costs, reduce time to market, but also keep you safe. I think the time is here for it, but right now, rather than this credulity, I think there maybe is an overwhelming push to accomplish everything. So I think bankers will have the challenge, and also the advice and the opportunity is to find those use cases, the enterprise use cases, which you can go to market with.
Yeah, and I think this is, again, a really good time. To your point, you have to pay attention to it. This is not something that you can ignore as a banker, or really as anybody. It's here. There's the value that it's offering is going to allow you to do incredible things. It's also a difficult technology to really engage with because it can be pointed in so many different directions. And so, to your point, really thinking about what problem am I trying to solve is obviously a super helpful place to start. And again, come back to this really simple idea: where are there tedious processes that humans are having to deal with right now that potentially they shouldn't have to deal with, whether you could free them up to go and point their talents towards something more productive? So I think every bank, if you kind of frame it in that context, will say, there are actually quite a few processes that we have as part of our daily workflows that are tedious, that are requiring somebody to do quite a bit of manual entry, manual labor of some kind. And these are opportunities where artificial intelligence can play a really big role. We'll continue to see these types of companies on Finovate for sure. And so this is a good idea, to come out and take a look at what the industry is doing. We have time for one more question here. And I think, just looking kind of beyond what the last couple of weeks, looking long-term about where Ready is headed, what do you see right now as your biggest opportunity to grow? Are there market needs that you don't see anyone else serving yet? Are there different markets that you actually want to get into? What's kind of the big picture plan for Ready from here?
Well, we just having just released our Ablements platform, which is already actually live at a couple of our customers. We definitely want to see this through, to be honest, because we see it, as you say, Greg. There's a lot of opportunity to reduce the manual labor, reduce the inefficient flows, and Ablements is a platform which does not only the integrations but takes the flows to deployment. It does actually help to deliver that kind of value to reduce the groundwork. So I definitely think that the next couple of years for Ablements is to take this to as far-reaching places as we can. On a secondary front, just having listened to OpenAI announce that they will soon release a $20,000 agent, which is a PhD level agent. I think eventually there will be a small bank, small business type of approach where companies who have learned how to deal with these agents and put the frameworks around them and prompt them efficiently, they can actually sort of rent out or be the interface between small and medium-sized enterprises, whether it's banks or small and medium-sized enterprises in other industries, to actually drive these agents to deliver value to these smaller organizations. I think there's a huge potential in that. So for us, it's Ablements, and it's continuing to work with AI, LLMs, but also frameworks to deliver value to the customers.
Yeah, well, and certainly I think you're absolutely right. You've got enough to be getting on with at the moment with the successful launch here. I want to congratulate you again on your Best of Show win at Finovate Europe. Thank you for spending some time with me to share a little bit more of kind of where you're coming from. And to anybody listening, stay tuned. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll have 2 more Best of Show winners from Finovate Europe for you to enjoy. But for now, Márk, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
The Finovate podcast is produced by Informa Connect in association with Provoke.fm Media. Check out Finovate.com for information on Finovate's upcoming shows and to learn how you can get involved. The discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% on tickets to all of our events. And you can email us at info@finovate.com for information on sponsoring, speaking, or demoing. Thanks for listening.